Okay, well, hello everyone. Unscripted video, I guess. Um, I know my audio quality is probably bad and there's background noises and stuff, but I don't really care. I have a new PC. I'm currently recording on it, and I'm just too dumb to figure out settings. But I just wanted to rant a bit. Because the current situation is just kind of dumb to me. Like, there's so much going on right now regarding Genshin theory crafting spaces, and I just wanted to get some stuff out, like some opinions. I know the second part of the Dendro thing. It's still, yeah, I'm still working on it because I'm university started, and I also had to move and I had a bunch of other things to do. So I hope you all don't mind that it's taking longer. But yeah. Okay, so anyway. Escoffier. I talked about it in the podcast episodes already, but I don't think that Escoffier is that big of a deal. They've always kind of... Okay, people don't really realize that Genshin needs to do niche characters because universal characters just are like too strong. I think that's why they like Kazuha was basically. I feel like there was a strong argument for Kazuha to be the best unit in the game. The content kind of required him in a way, and he was also just universal in every single team. And to me, that's worse. To me, that's definitely worse than Escoffier being the cryo support, Chevy being the electro support, and I don't know, Sidlali for Meld or something. But yeah, I think that's good design. I feel like characters like shouldn't have insane overlap. In like support shouldn't have to be the best in slot in so many teams because it makes team building so much harder, especially regarding the new endgame content or whatever that requires 3 teams. Yeah, if you have C0 R1 or even C2 R1 Xilonen for multiple different teams, you're kind of fucked because, like, what are you going to do? Put her in 3 teams? You can't. I guess in the lower difficulties you can, but not in the higher difficulties. But yeah, that's why I think that niche characters are necessary, and I want niche characters, especially because they have to do more. And for your mains, it's always better to go for these niche characters, and I'm happy for that. So why do I not think that Escoffier is not a big deal? Because she doesn't do much outside of her niche. Like, people are definitely overestimating how much damage she does outside of her niche, how big her supportive utility is outside of her niche, and I guess her healing too, kind of. But yeah, that's like, yeah. I feel like just Escoffier alone, without specific units on your account, is an okay official flex slot, but she's definitely not the flex slot. Okay, well then, and for these teams specifically, people also don't realize that melt isn't a bad reaction. Like, reverse melt is not a bad reaction. These teams, these reverse melt teams with high invested cryo carries are good teams. Like with C1, R1 Risley, or like a Ganyu that's high invested, those are still, like, you can speedrun with these teams. Especially with like Mavuika. Maybe I don't really like Mavuika as a support before she has her C2 and maybe R1 or something. But like, it's still, those are good teams, don't get me wrong. And people are just like pretending that melt teams don't exist anymore. And that's why I really, really love the Jamie video. I feel like Jamie did such a good job at explaining that missing out on melt is kind of a big deal for cryo characters, except they are called Ayaka. Yeah, there's not much more to say. I feel like this, the biggest the characters that profit the most out of Escoffier are still Ayaka and Ayato. Ayato because he literally doesn't have any teams. His hyper carry teams suck. They are not good. Unless you have like a very hyper invested Ayato, but I feel like that's, even then, it's not really that good. And as an enabler, he's also not great. Like, you can play him in Bloom teams or something, or make Xiangling vape. Xiangling kind of fell off as a carry, and Ayato doesn't provide enough application for her to melt every hit, to vape every hit, so it's not great. So it makes sense that it's a big deal for Ayato. Which I think is very cool. Like, I like to see an Ayato and Ayaka buff because, okay, Ayato was in a worse place. Like, people are also pretending like Ayaka, which is, I don't really like. Like, I'm kind of on the other side regarding that. People are saying that the 100k DPS, I don't believe in cheats, okay? I know this is like against the take I'm going to make, but don't believe in cheats. Just always wait for practical testing. But regarding Ayaka, she's hard to play, but if you play her correctly, then it's not insanely hard to not miss her burst. Like, you just need great positioning. You need to learn enemy AI, like enemy combat AI or whatever. But yeah, it's not really a big deal, and that's why I think that Ayaka is really nice. Even before, like, she was one of the carries from the older versions that kind of kept up, like in some specific abysses still kind of cooked her, but she still had her like good abysses. And like for high invested Ayaka players, Ayaka was never like dead or whatever. But the Ayaka buff is big, and I'm happy about the big Ayaka buff. And that's where it stops for me. There's not more characters. Can we not pretend like Escoffier is a big deal for more than Ayaka and Ayato? Like, it's nice for Risley. And Ganyu is kind of awkward in terms of teams because she can't fit in Yelan, and Shanna is also not really that great when you're not doing 20-second rotations, which you should do. You should probably do. You shouldn't do with Ganyu if you want to maximize her damage. But yeah, then the team is more like Escoffier, Farina carrying you instead of Ganyu doing most of the damage. So yeah, high invested Ganyu players are not going to play Escoffier. And Risley, most people picked up his like C1 run already, like the Risley Risley main, so I don't think they should look into Escoffier either. It's still a nice team, don't get me wrong, but the damage mainly coming from Escoffier and Farina is a big issue. People are not realizing that, especially because Farina doesn't have the best AoE, and Escoffier has no AoE. Like 75% or something from her damage is coming from the skill, and the skill is entirely single target. You can't even put a grouper in the team, so obviously it's only going to be single target. And I want people to realize that if they keep on like this is Chaska. We are like looking at Chaska sub DPS. So as soon as there's 2 or more enemies and Escoffier is like 25%, no, actually no, in the better team she's probably like higher than that, of the team's personal damage, your team is going to feel worse. Same with Farina. Like, Farina also doesn't have the best AoE without a grouper. So you are noticing that compared to like Ganyu also doesn't have the best AoE, and Risley also doesn't have the best AoE, but it's still better than these two characters. So focusing on their personal damage instead is going to be better with like putting them in melt. And now Nuvilette, please don't listen to the people that are saying Nuvilette's new best team is Escoffier. Nuvilet is a hyper carry. Nuvilet isn't balanced around his ability to apply hydro. Nuvilet is a hyper carry. You don't want to put him in a team where he's less than 50% of the team's personal damage. And if you have C1R1, Escoffier is dead. Don't play Escoffier. Just stick to your usual Xilonen, Kazor, Siglali, whatever. At C0, R0, I can see it, but then Nuvilet himself is not a great character. You really, really want those like C0R1 or C1R0 or even C1R1. Yeah, okay, that's to get that out of the way. Yeah, Nuvilet's biggest strength was always his AoE. And we're giving him 50% or less of the team's damage contribution. You are like decreasing his damage effectively by like, I don't know how much, like 40%, just to make your single target damage stronger. But his best situations were AoE situations, so you're cooking him in these situations, in which he's better than the other options. Yeah, I don't think it's worth it. Other characters, Mualani. Why are we talking about Mualani Escoffier? I heard someone say Mualani Escoffier. I cried. Why? No, don't do that. PMC is a free character. PMC C6, like, it's not that bad to play Mualani PMC. The buff is decent, and you don't have to work around cringe jungling stuff. Like you can put... The set is kind of awkward, but it's fine. Just if you have Xilonen, you can put them on, or you can put them on Petra, or like Instructor, or maybe Scroll if the other unit isn't holding Scroll. I don't know, but like it's PMC is fine. That's what I want to say. Their AoE isn't too great, but yeah, it's okay. So don't play Escoffier Mualani, please. I don't want to see that. That's it. So saying that for now Escoffier is going to be best in slot for the Hydra and Cryo characters, it's not true. It's literally not true. Escoffier is mainly focused on Cryo characters. You notice this when looking at her C1 and her best teams, or like most of them using Shenhe, who's also more into Cryo characters. Like her burst cost can be quite high if you play her in like solo cryo, which is also nerfing her damage. So yeah, it's not a hydro buff, not really. For Ayato it's nice, but Ayato just didn't have any teams. Yeah, and also it's Ayato wheelchair. Let's be honest, he's getting wheelchair. He's still doing his bit of damage. He has his AoE stuff, and I guess you could say the same argument with Nuvilet, but even in AoE, he's like not that great. So it's fine. I can see Ayato, okay? I can see him. But that brings us to the next character, Skirk. Then the other situation that's pissing me off. Why do people have a problem with Skirk's best team being so restricted? We all knew that Skirk was going to be a ceiling carry. So they are in their like damage era right now, like power creep era. Skirk is like lore wise insane fighter and whatever. And I hate when like the most local Liwe Cook. Okay, not me slandering jungling, but like come on. I just want to see like a really strong lore character also being a great carry. Like if we look at, I don't know who's very strong in lore but like doesn't do damage. Zhao, I guess. But yeah, I don't want to like front any other characters. But yeah, Skirk being restricted is to me like a good thing, because she was supposed to be like the highest damage in the game, or maybe second highest damage in the game. We don't know yet because her multipliers aren't out. So like if her damage is cooked, then I think it's funny, and they probably shouldn't restrict her that much if her damage is bad. But her damage isn't going to be bad. That's why I think it's good that her damage is totally restricted. Her being the most restricted character team-wise is I guess it's annoying, but it's still a way to balance it, because it's going to like make less people want her, even though she's like the strongest character. So not everyone's going to pick her up because they are like turned off. And so not everyone's going to be like, oh my god, Skirk is going to be like fixing every single account. No, she isn't. And that's good, because we don't want another like Mavrika or whatever. Even though I don't even think that's the same. Mavrika is in a kind of far from it, but like she has a similar problem in my opinion. But yeah, other than that, yeah, Skirk. We are also kind of overrating the issue of team restrictions. She's the most, probably going to be the most restricted character in terms of teams, but restricted teams for carries is not a new thing. Not at all. Characters relying on multiple 4-star C6s, that is literally, that has always been the case. It's older 4-stars, so you're probably going to have them C6, but most like carries, most 5-stars rely on like some kind of C6 4-star support. That isn't a new thing. Yeah, I mean they do have some like cope teams that can still clear, but you want to, like, if you actually want to hyper invest in them and like prepare them for abysses where they aren't so great, you also want to pick up those 4-star C6 characters or even C0 5-star supports, and that's completely fine. My takes are just regarding that. Nuvillet, in my opinion, heavily relies on Farina. If it's Nuvillet less Farina, his teams are either mid or it's Nuvillet Vape, which I think is really cringe, and is like mostly a speedrunning team, and yeah, it's worse than Moalani. I don't know what more to say. Like in most of it. I think there are some situations in which it can be better than one, but I'm not even sure about it. I should shut up. Anyway, other than that, Zhao also relies on like C6, like definitely relies on Farina, definitely relies on Bennett, sometimes also C0 Jianyon, and definitely Faruzan C6, like at least C2, but even like even C2, it's not, you can't, it's very painful to make it work. You want that C6. Same with Wanderer. Then Clarant is not great. Like Clarant is kind of getting real shared in teams where she's not having like Chevy C6 and Yansan C6. Like you put Fischl in the team to kind of like get a bit of damage there. And like maybe Hyperbloom, but like you are realizing that that's not really a carry team. It's just Clarant being there doing electro application. She's not really doing a lot of damage. She does really, like, if you want to play a hyper carry team, she wants a bunch of 4-star C6s, like Yansan C6 or Sarah C6 or Chevy C6. Otherwise it just doesn't feel good. And yeah, there's a lot more characters I could mention, but I'm not going to like go that far. Okay, are there any other situations? I feel like that's mostly it. That has been the takes that have been making me. Oh yeah, true, the Emilie situation. Why is everyone still entering Emilie? People are so obsessed with sheets and calcs that they are forgetting that pros outside of that exist. Emilie's burst is extremely good. There are a bunch of situations where you want to buff your Emilie burst, so she can like one-shot a wave or something. You can't say that about Escoffier at all. Not in the slightest. Her burst does like 100k or something, but that isn't. Emilie's burst does more damage. It does like 90k per tick or something, and mine is like on Homer. With like her single shot, it's probably going to be more. And then in AoE you get like, I don't even know how many ticks you get, but it's even more than 8, right? So like not 8, maybe it's a bit less, but like it's still a very front-loaded damage, and you shouldn't neglect it. Other than that, her AoE is great. I don't know why Jeff in the video, he said like, yeah, okay, let's just ignore her Ascension 1 passive. I hope it's the Ascension 1. Like the 600% attack in AoE. Yeah, let's just ignore 50% of her kit to make this argument. Why not? I don't know. That was so silly to me. Can we not ignore the Ascension passive, please? But yeah, if you take all of that into account, then no, Escoffier is not just Emilie with healing and restful. That is not the case at all. Emilie does like so much more as a damage dealer than Escoffier. Escoffier's damage is nice, like doing a bit of side damage, but it's not the focus of her kit. And she's not even reaching on sheets. She's not reaching Emilie DPR. Like, she isn't reaching that. So even in sheets, yeah. But like, that's it. Yeah, other than that, I guess Chiori too, to an extent. I feel like C1, R1 Chiori, she was kind of a bit more cooked than Emilie in terms of like damage and other things. But I feel like it's still like her Ascension 4 feels, Ascension 1 feels very front-loaded and very nice. Like you get that in 6 seconds or something, and it's like, those are big hits. And I feel like it's very nice. Her field time is very short. Escoffier needs to burst all the time. If she doesn't burst, the team is cooked. And her animations seem a lot longer. Meanwhile, Chiori specifically, her kit is specifically designed to have as short as field time as possible. So yeah, we also need to take that into account. But yeah, I feel like still people are kind of underrating Chiori. Just get Chiori C1. C0 is kind of cooked, I agree, but just get her C1 and it's fine. Other characters heavily rely on like their signature weapon. Why not just give her C1? Why are people so scared of vertical investment? I feel like vertical investment is such a nice way to improve your favorites and like improve their team options. Yeah. Okay, another take that has been like there was, I guess I talked about it already, but like people are saying that Escoffier will be the new best option or close to the best option in random ass teams, like for Kinnick. She literally doesn't do anything for Kinnick. What is she doing in that team? Then like Navia, she's supposed to replace Bennett. Cool, okay, nice that we are replacing Bennett for Navia, who's an attack scaling carry and really relies on Bennett. Then there were a bunch of other characters too, where I'm like, what was it again? Like double cryo with Alekino? Why Escoffier? She's not doing anything besides cryo application. Why? And like her small personal damage, it is not great in that team. It is not, unless you on-field her. I think the on-field stuff is okay, but just play an actual cryo carry instead of on-fielding your Escoffier in a melt team. Like, certainly in Escoffier's situation, melt teams exist. Because, yeah, of course Escoffier can melt, but Risley, melt, what's that? What's Ganyu melt? These teams don't exist. Never have. Okay, that is kind of it. Thank you for listening to my rant. Those are the main things that have been bothering me. There might be more in the future. I kind of like making these videos because I want to get my opinion out. Maybe these takes will all age like shit. That could happen, but I don't really care. So yeah, thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Hopefully in the Nahida Slander, the Dendro part 2. Okay, well, thank you, and bye bye.